Already selected, click on the Resources tab. We will now add a second server manually by clicking the Server button. As we did in the wizard view, we will enter a name for the server along with the machine name or IP address, as well as a description. When manually adding servers, you must first create an access account to select from the list. In this demo, we have already created the appropriate access account using the wizard, so we can simply select the same access account. This assumes that the same access account has the appropriate permissions on both servers that we are managing. After clicking the Save button, we can now click on the Wizard View button to see this second server in the same wizard interface that we viewed previously. Click Next to see the Add Resources wizard view. First, we will add a configuration file that contains a connection string to our SQL server. Enter a name and description for the configuration file. For path, we will click the Browse button. This will allow us to directly select the correct configuration file on the remote server. In this demo, we have a web.config file on the remote server that we wish to manage. Once the config file is opened, we can scroll through the file to find the connection string that uses the SQL account that we created earlier. This will allow us to change both the SQL account password as well as the config file entry simultaneously. Right-click on the connection string and choose Add Setting. On the following screen, you must select the specific portion of the connection string that contains the password. In this case, we will select the text password equals password. We will enter a name and description for our config settings, and then select the SQL account that shares this password. The format setting allows you to choose the appropriate settings for the string. In this case, we will select value equals password, without quotes and without a semicolon, since that matches our config settings. Click Save and choose Complete to finish this resource. Next, we will add a machine account to this same server. Click Machine Account on the left and click the Next button. As before, we will enter a name, description, account name, current password, and the new password. Click Save to return to the wizard view. Finally, we will select Complete from the left panel and click Next to complete our server. Now that we have created several resources, we will want to group them together so that all of the passwords are updated simultaneously. Click on the Groups tab and click on the New Group button. For this demo, we will be adding all three resources that we had previously completed: the SQL account, the configuration file that uses the SQL account, and the SharePoint machine account. To maximize screen space, we will unpin the panel on the left so that it is hidden. Next, we will give our group a name and description. And then add all of the resources to the group by clicking the Add Selected button. It does not matter in which order you add the items to the group, as the program will execute the changes in the proper logical sequence. Once we have added our resources to the group, we may optionally run the job immediately by clicking the Run Now button. The job does not start immediately, but rather takes us to a screen that allows us to actually run the job and view the results. If we click the Run Now button, all three resources will be updated on the remote machines. As you see, the config file and both passwords on the servers were all changed successfully. If any update were to fail, the system would attempt to roll back the changes for all of the grouped items. Next, we will close the Resource tabs and move our mouse to the left side of the screen to display our hidden panel. We will again click the Pin button to pin the panel in the open position. Now, we can drag a column header to group resources by a specific item. In this case, I want to view all resources grouped by their corresponding server, so I will drag the server column header to the top. By selecting each of the resources that we created, we can now see that the job was successful. The password for the SQL Server account has been changed to new password, and a new random password has been created for the next run of the job. The same is true for the machine account and the configuration file. Finally, we will click on the Jobs tab to schedule a job to run unattended. Click New to create a new job schedule. Enter a name for the job, as well as the start date and time to run. Next, select the group that you wish to run at the scheduled time, and finally, enter a description and save the scheduled job. The scheduled job will update all of the passwords at the scheduled time and date. This can be very beneficial if you need to synchronize password changes in a production environment, since you can schedule the changes for off hours. This concludes our basic overview of the application password management server. For further information, please contact a sales associate or visit our website at www.kemusoftware.com.